Look for it, say amen. If you're not looking for it, say amen. Amen. Romans chapter 8, verses 28 through 30 says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn amongst his brothers and sisters. Verse 30 says, and those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified. Amen. May God add a blessing to the reading here and the do of his holy word. You may be seated. Amen. Now, just for a few minutes, I want us to gather ourselves so that we can focus on the word this morning. Remove all of your distractions. If your phone is going to be a distraction for you, I ask that you put it away. Because I want to make sure that you get what you came here for today. Amen? So as I was looking for a word to preach, I was asking God, what is it that I'm going to preach about? Because one thing that I try not to do is to preach the same sermons, because I like when God gives me a word to preach. And he says, call to his purpose. I said, well, God, didn't I do a sermon similar to that a couple of years ago, Sundays ago? And he reminded me that does not matter, because his word never changes. What he gives us is a new revelation. Amen? Amen. So where I'm coming from today is just simply a new revelation. We wanted to title it, it would be called Call to His Purpose. So before we get into it, I want you to write down these words if you are taking notes. These points that I want to hit, but I also want you to remember. The first one is all things. If you're left-handed, I'm going to give you 2 extra minutes. The second one is God works. God works. Third one is his purpose. Next one is predestined. The last one is called. It's 5 of them. All things, God works, his purpose, predestined, and called. Amen? Now the Bible says all things works together for the good of those that love the Lord according to his purpose. But the word all implies that God indeed allows adversity. Amen? He allows adversity to come into our lives. Can I make this make sense for you? In Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7, it says, I formed the light and created darkness. I bring prosperity and create disaster. I, the Lord, do all things. Someone say, I, the Lord, do all things. This is God stating himself, I create adversity. I created up and I created down. I created north and I created south. I created light and I created darkness. I created good and I created evil. Wait a minute. What do you mean evil? Why evil? In Genesis, it reminds us that Lucifer, before he was his name was changed to Satan, he was the same man that was a worship leader in heaven, and he decided he got beside himself and God kicked him out of heaven. It's the same man that needed permission to go after Job. Satan. Amen? I wish I was making sense of something. Listen. The same God who formed the billions of galaxies, the same God who created life in 6 days, is the same God who allowed your loved one to die. He's the same God who allowed your sister to get beat. He's the same God who allowed your son to get locked up. He's the same God who allowed your husband to cheat on you. Don't get quiet on me yet. Why would a good, gracious, merciful God allow evil? It's to remind us that he is still in control.
All right.
I need to help somebody understand this. It's to remind us he is still in control, and that all things fall subject to his divine purpose. Someone say all things. Everything that is happening, that has happened, that is going to happen is because God called it to his purpose. He allowed it. He allowed it because he specifically made your DNA able to withstand and withhold these adversities. What should have broke you? What should have killed you? What should have made you lose your mind? What should have made you go crazy? God wants to remind you that I've already called victory over it. That's a good place to praise him. He's already called victory over your circumstances, over your situation. I'm talking to the wrong group of people. Is there anybody that has experienced adversity? Is there anybody that has been through the fire? Is there anybody that has been talked about, lied on, misused, lost their trust in people? Is there anybody that can identify with what adversity is? You didn't come out of your addiction because your grandmama was praying for you. You didn't come out of the dark place or out of depression because the pastor laid hands on you. You didn't come out of your mess, of your struggle. You didn't get delivered because you fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. No, it's simply because God called you to victory. None of what you're dealing with is in your own works. It's God's work. Someone say God's work. How we end up in bondage is we take our adversity personal. How we end up in bondage is because we take our adversity personal. When you said yes to God, that meant that whatever it is God had lined up for you, you agreed to it. You were not exempt from adversity. And our favorite question is, God, why me? When we hit adversity, God, why me? And I stopped asking God, why me, when I realized he wasn't going to give my issues to my brother. He wasn't going to give my problems to my pastor. He wasn't going to give my struggles to my dad. He made it personal. What we need to understand is that God allows us to go through things, and none of it is new. None of what you're going through is new or foreign. Can I make that make sense? In Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and 9, it says, what has been will be again. What has been done will be done again.
All right.
There is nothing new under the sun. And so we're sitting and we're asking, God, why does it feel like I've been through this before? Why does it feel like I've been here before? He simply says, because there's nothing new under the sun. God said he knew you before the foundation of the world. Before the beginning of time, he spoke a word over your life. And we get in trouble when we speak against God's word. What does that look like? We decide to be disobedient. We decide to live in sin. We get comfortable and complacent where we are. When you speak against God's word and you speak against his purpose, you are digging up the seed that he's planted for you. Am I making sense to anybody? And so now everyone who is assigned to you will never experience the full potential in God because you decided to be bitter, you decided to be rebellious, you decided to close your heart from God. Because you allowed how someone looked at you affect you for the next 40 years of your life. When you know in the word, it says if you have an aught with your brother or sister, to go to them and fix it. And you know your word, and you know what God is telling you to do. You decide to sit in yourself for 40 years. And now 40 years later, you decide to go to this brother or this sister that looked at you wrong, only to find out that they just had a lazy eye. They wasn't even looking at you in the first place. 40 years I'm mad because you looked at me, and just to find out you had a lazy eye. You wasn't even looking at me, let alone the wrong way. That's how foolish it is. That's how foolish it is. I'm trying to get you to understand how we waste our life focusing on the wrong things because we don't want to go and get those things right. Now we believe in our head a whole different story than what reality says. We spend 40 years believing that we are in spiritual warfare with a person who don't even know that we exist. Every time you walk in a room and that person don't even acknowledge you, oh God, oh. You just going in praying that God, and that person ain't got nothing to do with what you're doing. And you've invested 40 years of your life into a problem that you created. And we're thinking that we're walking in God's purpose. This is what God wants me to do. Do you really believe that God wants you to spend 40 years focusing on who doesn't like you, who talked about you, who gossiped about you, who lied on you, who took your money from you, who said that they was going to be there when they wasn't? You really think that God wants you to spend the next 40 years focusing on that? That's not God's purpose. I'm going to give you these 3 points, and I'm going to answer this question for you. How do I know I'm walking in God's purpose? Ask me, how do I know I'm walking in God's purpose? I'm glad you asked me that because I'm going to answer it for you. How do you know you're walking in God's purpose? The first part of that answer is when you don't care anymore about who or what you lose. I'm not talking about those prayers that you said to God, God, if they're supposed to be in my life, then let them, and God, if they not, take them out. No, I'm not talking about those prayers. I'm talking about, God, if I don't get any more support, if I don't get any more encouragement, if I don't get any more help, I appreciate you. I appreciate those people that you allowed to be in my life for this season. And I'm not going to walk in bitterness. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to pray against their downfall. I'm going to simply say, God, thank you, because your promises are yes and amen. I thank you for the opportunity. It's those things that, God, if I don't get another validation, if I don't get another pat on the back, as long as you say, job well done, my good and faithful servant. Sometimes we are looking for validation in man, and every time we let ourselves down because my sister was supposed to be there, my mama was supposed to be there, my pastor was supposed to do this, my first lady was supposed to do that, everybody's supposed to do this. Well, what are you doing? You're not doing your part in praying and saying, God, you be my help when I look towards the hills and I need you. Y'all quiet on me. I might not be talking to anybody in here. How do I know I'm walking in God's purpose? When you can serve him in spite of how you feel. In spite of how you feel. It doesn't matter how hard I cry. It doesn't matter how long I fast. It doesn't matter how much I pray. It doesn't matter how good I preach. My praise will not be predicated on how I feel. My worship will not be predicated on what I've been through, but simply because I know God is in control, and he's in control all by himself. I'm going to praise him when I don't feel like it. I'm going to praise him when I feel like it. I'm going to praise him in the city as well in the field. I'm going to praise him in the 4 walls and out of these 4 walls. Why? Because God has been way too good to me. I don't even deserve to clap my hands, but since I got him, I don't even deserve to sing, but since I got a voice, I don't even deserve to dance. But God, you gave me legs, and as long as I'm breathing, it doesn't matter how I feel. My feelings, yes, I might be tired physically. Mentally, I might have had a long week at work. But as long as I got a praise and my body. And the thing is this, we get it misunderstood about the different ways people praise and worship God. And we're looking and saying, okay, if I can get the portion of the crowd that I know she's worshiping, I can get Susie to run around the church and I know she's praising. And that's not it. That's not it. What we have to understand is the way our relationship is embedded with God, that's the reflection of our worship. So for me, I said, okay, God, how can I worship you when I don't feel like it? Changing our perspective of our situation, our thought about a situation. Let me tell you something. I got paid on Friday, and I was broke on Saturday. Let me tell you, when automatic pay happens, when the bills happen, and God, I made just enough. But I changed my perspective. God, I thank you for this job that I paid for. God, I thank you for this car that I prayed for. God, I thank you for this house that I prayed for. God, I thank you. God, I thank you. I might not have what I want, but I have what I need. His grace is sufficient. That's how we praise him when we don't feel like it. Because I promise you this, you can be so tired from working 80 hours, 2 weeks, but there is some type of feeling you get a bolt of energy when you see that check hit that direct deposit. You got all the energy in the world. You running around paying bills that didn't even due yet. You running around just spending an extra $1 on a chicken sandwich at Pop Pop. I told myself I was not going to do that. I was not going to be that one to do that. Joking. My worship was not given to me by my circumstance, by my situation. This peace that I have, this joy that I have, was not given to me by man. So I can't let man affect the way that I present my joy, that I present my peace. You might have just found out I lost my job, my car, everything. And you're wondering why I'm still coming to church and I'm still praising God and I'm still happy and I'm still singing all this stuff. It's because this joy that I have was here before I got my car. It was here before I got all this money. It was here before and it's going to be here afterwards. Let me get out your way. How do I know I'm walking in God's purpose? When I can trust God without questioning Him. When I can trust God without questioning Him, it's natural to doubt because we don't have all the answers. And God, okay, you said you're going to supply all my needs according to your riches, but I'm not going to question how it's going to come. What if it cost you your friends? God, you still have my trust. What if it cost you being separated from your family members? God, you got my trust. What if it cost you your marriage? God, you got my trust. What if you lose a loved one? God, you got my trust. What if it cost you everything that you built your life around? God, ooh. Come on now. Come on. God, you got my trust. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you because you said in your word that you'll never leave me nor forsake me. And that might be the only scripture I know. If I don't know anything else, I know you're going to still be with me. What I have to remind the enemy, what we have to remind the enemy is that we are the manifestation of God's word. He said in his word became flesh When God knew you before the foundation of the world, he spoke over your life. And so when you were born, you became what God has spoken over you. Understand that in this hour, this chapter, this season, this stage of your life, whatever you want to call it, this moment that you're in and what's to come isn't anything new. Say that again. What's happening in your life right now and what's going to come isn't new. God says you just was not ready to receive it yet. You just wasn't ready because he said, when I give you something, you're going to be able to handle it. Be it good or bad, all things. When I give you something, you're not going to question it. Why? Because it's going to happen naturally. It's not going to be forced in your life. Oh, Jesus, thank you. The thing about it is this: when we want something so bad, when we're eager for something so bad, we are willing to compromise our very being to get it and then say, thank you, God. That's not God. If you gotta lie, cheat, and steal to get it and then say, thank you, God, it's not God. How do I know it's God? Because when it happens naturally. I'm gonna say this. And this is going to be confirmation for somebody in this room. Stop allowing and stop holding on to unhealthy people. Unhealthy relationships, unhealthy habits, unhealthy food. Stop holding on to that. Stop pushing away people God has placed in your life because they made you mad, because they didn't agree with you. Stop pushing away people that God is trying to use to get to you. Why? Because now you're getting in the way of God's divine purpose. See, a lot of the things, and my supervisor says it to me all the time, with us millennials, we want everything now. God, I want you to heal me now. God, I want you to do this now. God, I want this job, this promotion, this everything now. And then if God doesn't do it now, then we're going to go and get it now.
All right.
That's just our generation. But even us as Christians, we want God to do it now. Oh, because God, you're a right now God. No, don't do that. Don't do that. God's timing is not our time. See, the thing is this: we have to allow, and this goes back to my statement I made about us holding and hoarding on to issues longer than what God intended. God says, yeah, we all gotta face adversity. But what could have been just 20 minutes now has turned into your whole life, and you're now trying to figure out. You keep digging instead of allowing the dirt to settle and allow the roots to become your foundation. You keep digging up these things that are unhealthy. You keep going back to the same old things, the same bad habits. Why? Because that's all you have control over. That's what you're familiar with. And the hardest thing for me, I'm going to speak for myself, the hardest thing for me to do is let go of my pride. I'll be a blessing to everybody else. I'll give my last to everybody else. But I won't let nobody help me because I've been doing it by myself this whole time. But then praying and ask God to send me somebody to help me. But then when God sends me that help, I don't want them to help me because I don't want them to think that I can't do it by myself. So you just, and this happens for the next 28 years. Am I talking to somebody? You ever realize that? You sat and prayed and fasted and said, God, send me help. God, send you help. God, no, I don't need the help. I got it. I'm good. I got it. I'm going to go pray about it. Okay. The help or not. That's me. That's my pride. I probably would have been in a lot better places had I allowed people to help me when God sent them to help me. Allow God to help and allow God to do the separating. Sometimes we remove people out of our lives prematurely. and then we don't learn from those mistakes. Sometimes we hold on to people a little bit longer, and we keep failing the test or whatever we want to call it. We want to be in control. Stop doing that. That's a really good point. But allow God to do the separate. So when God speaks, He speaks to us in a familiar voice. And He's confirming in our spirit. And I talk to our friends and brothers and sisters, and I tell them whenever a prophet or a pastor or somebody speaks over your life, it's nothing new. I want to share that with you today. Don't get drawn to how something is presented to you. Because somebody told you that you've been dealing with something your whole life and people are going to talk about you. Don't get drawn to that, because all of that, a prophet, all their job, or part of their job is to confirm what God has already said to them. So all of this, you're gonna have a house, you're gonna be a millionaire and all that stuff. Don't get pulled into that. Yeah, that's what a prophet does, is send warning. If all you heard was you're gonna be a millionaire, but you don't understand that you gotta go through a financial challenge. You gotta know what it feels like to be broke. You gotta know what it feels like to have My point is this. God spoke His word. Like I said, before we were born, before any of us came into existence. And He said, this is how John's life is going to be. But God gives us free will. Yes, He gives us free will, but His purpose is still going to happen.
Amen.
Right? Let me give you an example. John, this is how your life is going to be. I don't want to be a youth pastor. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be rebellious and all that stuff. Okay? Now I experienced a traumatic experience, or whatever we want to call it. Oh God, I want to come and give my life back to Christ. Now I'm in a position where I'm a youth pastor. Whatever we decide to do in our life, God is still going to be the author and the finisher of our lives. Understand that. God has called you to a place and a purpose in Him. It is going to happen, with or without your willingness. You can take the long way, or you can take the hard way. Ain't nothing short and easy when it comes to God. Never under my God. So I want to share with you this song. The song simply says, it speaks about how God speaks everything into existence, right? And He talks to us and He tells us that at the end of the day, if I have to do it all again, I would. That's the type of love God has given us. And that's the amazing thing about it. Like, I don't believe, at least for myself, I don't believe I would do half of what I've done for people again. Let alone have known how it would end. I wouldn't have done it the first time. But God says that He loves us so much, He gave us His Son. Can you imagine giving your son, giving your child up as a sacrifice? Your only child, too. For people that wasn't going to care. For people that was going to reject you anyway. What type of love is that? Like, I think it's so amazing how God, it's just amazing. So just allow your heart to receive the song. Let me get out your way.